believe it is safe to say that all of us have found our nemesis in Overwatch. Just by the nature of a hero-based FPS, we're all bound to like and dislike some characters more than others. But a dispute that has been ongoing for an unreasonable amount of time is that between hitscan players and, well, everybody else. Whether you find yourself on the hero or FPS end of the hero-based FPS, I'm sure we all have a lot of opinions on why the developers should be catering to us more than our opposition. Listen, I enjoy clicking heads as much as the next guy, but aren't the heroes what make Overwatch unique at the end of the day? Today, my friends, I'm here to plant my flag on the ground. It's going to be me, the average projectile enjoyer, fighting against Mild, the hitscan fan, to answer once and for all why our side reigns supreme. But first, I have a bit of a confession to make. I will admit that I was fully intending on continuing the Genji saga, seeing as how learning how to play him on ladder has been really fun for me. However, my ISP strongly disagreed with that notion. Today, I'm going to tell you a story from my archives. No, not the archives event, I meant an episode that never managed to go into full production up until this point. So if you were ever curious about getting a bit of a behind the scenes glance on how these videos are made and what kinds of challenges I'm facing in trying to upload one of them every single week, this episode might be just for you. Also, for all of you big brain individuals out there who memorized every balance patch in the history of this game, feel free to leave a comment down below with your guesses on how old you think these clips are based on the heroes and some of the values you see on screen. I'm gonna reveal the answer at the end of the video. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our story from the archives takes place on King's Row. So then, some of you might be wondering, what is so special about this match that you decide to keep this on your hard drive all this time? Well, that's where the behind the scenes aspect of today's video immediately comes into play. Because you see, sometimes I'm blessed with getting more than just one story-worthy match in a session, and when that happens, I pre-record the footage to have it ready to go. Furthermore to the point, having video material in my backlog is a bit of a safety net for me when I'm working on sponsored content. Sometimes those videos take longer to make and I have less time to play the game to get more footage, in which case it is really helpful to already have some on my hard drive. This one specifically never made it into full production because I just kept getting other matches I wanted to tell stories about. And by the time I could have gotten around to it, Blizzard had updated the replay system, which means today's footage is a bit of a blast from the past. I mean, do you remember when I wasn't able to remove these bars up top? Or when the replay system randomly decided I could or could not turn off player outlines? There are gonna be a few such oddities throughout today's episode, but for the time being, it was my turn to attack, so let's find out what the defenders got to offer. Right out the gate, my distaste for the hitscan variety of heroes became very apparent as I decided to recklessly fire into the enemy Genji's deflect, resulting in the immediate elimination of our McCree. It was enough of an unfortunate start to make my tanks doubt their movement, unsure if we have the damage to back up a push or if they should play it safe and disengage. My Ana definitely had to work cut out for herself in the healing department alone, but not to be outdone by the damage I was dishing out, Suited still found openings to annoy the defenders with their Bionade. Frankly speaking, it was in big parts thanks to their performance that we had the confidence to continue fighting without a clean reset, which was important because Lord knows we'd immediately lose our opponent's respect if we tucked tail because of a single elimination. My prime directive was defending Suited while keeping my Discord uptime as high as possible. The enemy Genji Big Chungus must have realized that our support line was uncontested, but well, let's just say that his interference was not gonna change that. While most of us were securing the capture point, Snake was playing ring around the rosy with the enemy Sigma. I mean, I can come up with many scenarios that could use either of these main tanks to greater effect, but hey, who am I to tell them how to play their role? Snake eventually joined the rest of us for a celebratory victory dance, and while making sure we don't get full health is a great start to our offense, you know that when there's blood in the water, a snowball is waiting to happen. But seeing as how mild the enemy hitscan player didn't get to contribute much to that first fight, you know they were itching to make up for that. And the instant eradication of the hitscan counterpart would definitely be a great start for that. But they weren't the only one who had to make up for a mistake. So far, the only McCree I had eliminated was my own, so to correct that record, I ensured that Mild would find themselves eating dirt once more. Every elimination we obtained made us grow more aggressive, which makes it ever the more surprising that the enemy Mercy got away with the res right in front of our eyes. Mild definitely had a chip on their shoulder after what I did to them, but little do they know that I'm more than willing to blow Transcendence just to stay in the fight. With my ultimate leading the charge, my tanks can unbind the S key and continue their advance towards the opposition, which I'm sure they were more than down for. Snake only knew one direction, which was forward, deleting defenders that desperately tried to stabilize with their ultimates, but all that to no avail. It really hammers home the concept of not needing a lot of healing when there are no enemies to deal damage to you, and with a remarkable amount of coordination backing up our plays, we had secured a lot of space. Meanwhile, on the flank, Big Chungus realized that I was well out of position, with the only thing keeping me alive being the pressure that the rest of my team put on him. He had no choice but to let me go and disengage completely, but not without a parting gift. I felt bad enough for Mike constantly getting eliminated because of my decisions, so before I endanger any more of my teammates, I made the call to return to the payload. Though it is funny that I survived every single one of these engagements when really I had no right to. Since I was now on the payload, Suited was pushing up to deliver healing in my stead, unfortunately becoming the target of Big Chungus' Dragon Blade, which, just a reminder, I could have countered if I had just taken the Elegance Mild after they had been revived. Another ultimate I could have countered was that incoming Gravitic Flux, though their Sigma made the mistake of targeting me with it, which, much like the Genji's dive, only had one possible result to offer. I do enjoy looking in my enemy's eyes before I eliminate them. After everything was said and done, we had absolutely steamrolled our way into the last stretch of King's Row. This was another reason I held off on making this episode, because as you can see, the pacing is a bit odd. Let's just say that a certain person on the enemy team was very fed up with how well we were doing, and sometimes a single swamp is all you need. With a strong foundation and a little bit of imagination, it just takes the slightest trigger to change a person. The unassuming Mild had been playing up to par until this point, but to have a chance of winning, it would take much more than the bare minimum. They immediately made their presence known by establishing hit scan dominance, and with a strong Widowmaker on the side, the defenders might just be able to transform the performance. Our Zarya made sure that Snake could return to the rest of the party without blowing up, but Mild continued hitting shots, which forced us to forsake the sightline they were holding. Any careless attempt of playing the game was met with brutal force, to the point where I could no longer rely on my own hit scan teammates to deal with the issue. My Ashe was making yet another bold attempt at contesting Mild, and while they didn't succeed, it did give me the opportunity to find an opening and take them out. Unfortunately, we'd already lost too many members of our team to continue pushing, leading me to call for a tactical retreat. My remaining comrades definitely agreed with that idea, and it was then that I received an unexpected comment. Oh boy, if Mild is under the impression that I was giving them a hard time up until that point, then they have no idea what's going to happen after that ego boost they just gave me. 6.5 minutes in theory should be more than enough time to build up an ultimate bank and win the game, but the real question to me was how often I could send Mild back to the spawn room before that happens. Our monkey boldly pushed into the defender's double main tank composition to initiate the next teamfight, drawing the enemy team's attention on him to give us the space to do our thing. But determined to not allow us to pick up any momentum, the enemy Genji used the absence of our Winston to use his Dragon Blade early. My Transcendence may have helped with that, but unfortunately it couldn't protect my Ana from a headshot. Our Genji was making a valiant attempt at contesting Mild to make sure that our Ana did not die in vain, but that swiftly turned out to be more difficult than anticipated. Dash versus grappling hook mind games aside, having a pocket Moira simply wasn't fair, and as such, our Genji had to take the L. Man, you really gotta feel bad for the guy. Mild remained uncontested, and after a long streak of eating dirt, could now enjoy the liberating breeze of freedom. The defenders had grown more confident on the back of Mild's performance, and where initially they seemed to be no more than a pushover, they now began pushing us back into our spawn as they learned to rotate their ultimates in effective fashion. But the turning of tables was not complete until Mild finally got revenge on me, and with their team having solidly planted their flag right in front of our spawn, delivering my very first death of the game was only a matter of time. Is this it? Do the defenders finally have us beat? Did we run out of steam after having dominated this game all the way into the last point? Well, not if Mike has anything to say about that. While I was keeping our team alive via Transcendence, Mike was clicking one head after another, completely removing the enemy team's healing factor from the equation. If there was one thing that's on our side, it's speed, and using that momentum we stacked up to no less than 5 eliminations in no time at all. The cherry on top was Mike engaging and winning the 1v1 against Mild, completing the team wipe. It might not always look like it, but we definitely knew what we were doing. Our tanks were securing the high ground to make sure Mild can no longer pop heads for free, but considering how quickly we ended that last fight, we knew they were gonna come at us with all 6. We had to play it carefully. The strength of our dive composition was picking out isolated targets and dogpiling onto them, so if we want to take the W right now, we gotta find somebody who's out of position, and the enemy Zenyatta was just one such target. What we didn't expect was that the defenders met our diving attempt with a lot more force than honestly is reasonable. Their Zenyatta was taken out, but we too were bleeding manpower. So much in fact that at some point it became obvious that we wouldn't be able to overcome the defender's spawn advantage. Being the resourceful support player that I am, I made the decision to not feed any more ultimate charge and simply watch my teammates perish as I remain at a safe distance. Now, some of you may have already caught onto something something weird happening in this replay. Taking a not very close look at our surroundings, you can see a remarkable amount of Moira orbs just kinda suspended in midair. And while you might assume that they only appear as such because I stopped the replay, as you can see, they remain in position even during active gameplay. This is one of the many things the replay system got better at over time. Sometimes when players toss out projectiles and you rewind, the projectiles get stuck in midair. Now granted, this does still happen in the current version of the replay system as evidenced by the last episode, but it is far less frequent than it used to be. Having 2 Moira players in a lobby was an absolute nightmare because I'd have to restart the replay every time that happens, which it really happened a ton. But back to the task at hand. This 7 minutes that we started with has since been reduced to a meager 2, and it wasn't for a lack of trying either. The defenders were putting all of their eggs into one basket, the name of which was Mild. None of us could find an opening to deal with them, and that meant one thing. If we can't take out Mild, we'll just have to take out everybody else. I've told you guys many times that overconfidence can be your downfall. When the enemy Moira pushed up with their ultimate, our Doomfist found an opening to take them out. However, we did not blindly jump at the enemies following that elimination. Our usual hard W approach has not been good enough for this last point, so this time we took it slow, waiting for the defenders to get antsy before striking once more to trade in our favor. Well, it would have been a favorable trade if Malt had not been enjoying their team's unimpeded support. Our Winston's solo dive was futile, and our Doomfist could also only do so much before getting eliminated. But suddenly, a light in the darkness. Mike had not given up just yet. Only because he was not getting a 5-man pocket does not mean he's a bad Widowmaker, and with that in mind, he equalized the engagement. I was once again delegated to payload duty, trying to find a way to play around sightlines, somehow heal my team, and yet not neglect the damage aspect of my kit. But eventually, I found myself overwhelmed with no choice but to pop Transcendence. Our team was painfully aware of Malt's impact on this match, so as soon as they stepped out of spawn, Doomfist and Winston came back with a vengeance to send them right back. Simultaneously, I had used the last couple seconds of my ultimate to reposition myself and was honestly happy about having gotten off the payload. My tanks could deal with that now, and speak of the devil, my Winston surfed me the enemy Zenyatta on a silver platter. Still upset about me having cancelled his ultimate on the second point, Dark Age the Sigma player decided to hit me one more time, except this time he will be the one tossing his orbs in my face as opposed to the other way around. The defenders had rudely ejected us off the objective with no more than 30 seconds left on the clock. 7 minutes really do go by fast when you do absolutely nothing useful, but now we had to deal with the fallout of our previous failures. We had no time for subtleties, no time for plans, and no time for any more mistakes. This was our final chance, and if we can't capture this last point, at least we won't go down without a fight. Our Doomfist immediately made his way into the high ground and with the help of my Discord orb deleted Malt off the map before turning his attention to the enemy Zenyatta. The defenders were officially in panic mode, allowing us to go for one last hurrah on the back of the overtime mechanic. Fittingly enough, just like we had stomped our way all throughout the first and second point, the final fight of this game was over in a flash. Victory may be ours, but what is the answer to the question we posed at the very beginning? Well, in a competition between hitscan versus projectile, the ultimate victor was team play. Sure, Mild was popping off a lot, but technically speaking, I eliminated them a lot more than they got me. But ultimately, Mild was right. My Discord orb enabling my teammates to deal with them really was the deciding factor, and as such, I cannot confidently say that one side is definitively better than the other. I guess it's for you guys in the comment section to debate that among yourselves. Oh, and also, this file had just celebrated its 1-year anniversary on my hard drive when I started making this video. So whoever guessed that, here are your bragging rights. I hope you guys enjoyed this video despite its very scuffed nature. Some things are unfortunately out of my hands and my internet connection just so happens to be one of them. But YouTube waits for no one, so if it is content they demand, it is content that they'll get. As always, my friends, don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and definitely ring that bell icon to not miss out on my next upload. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and until next time, peace!